There's a company that takes a cut of almost everything you buy, and it isn't your bank. And here's the part that makes no sense. It never lent you $1. It doesn't care whether you pay your bill. It barely touches actual cash. Yet it runs one of the fattest profit margins of any big company on the planet. You felt it today and didn't notice. You bought a coffee, tapped your card, heard the beep, walked away. In that half-second beep, a tiny toll got collected and shipped off to this company. Do that across a whole planet billions of times a day, and you get one of the great fortunes in modern history. There are actually two of them. Their logos are sitting in your wallet right now, and almost nobody can tell you how they really make their money. So let's follow that toll. Where does it go, and why, after 60 years, can no one tear this thing down? First, let's clear up the biggest misunderstanding about Visa and Mastercard. They are not banks. They never gave you that card. Your bank did. They don't decide your credit limit. They don't pay your cash back. And they're not the ones chasing you when you miss a payment. That's all the bank. So what are they? Think of them as a road, a private highway that sits between your bank and the store's bank. When you tap, your money doesn't teleport. It travels down that highway. Visa and Mastercard own the road, they write the rules of the road, and they make sure the money arrives in the right place a moment later. That's the business. They built the lanes and they run the toll booth, and the traffic on this road is almost impossible to picture. In 2024, the major card networks moved more than $10.5 trillion in spending. Visa's network alone handled around 234 billion transactions in a single year. That's roughly 639 million times a day, every day. Now here's the number that really tells the story. In the U.S., Visa and Mastercard together account for almost 87% of all card spending. Visa's the giant at around 61%. Mastercard's the strong second at about a quarter. Everyone else, Amex, Discover, is fighting over the scraps. Two companies. Nearly 9 out of every $10 you swipe. And they're everywhere, precisely because you never have to think about them. That's the trick. They live in the half second you're not paying attention. So to understand this business, we have to do the one thing nobody ever does. We have to slow that half second down and follow the money. Let's say you buy something for $100. You feel like the store just got $100. It didn't. By the time that money lands, the store is holding somewhere around $97.50. $2.50 just vanished, somewhere in that beep. So where did it go? This is where it gets good. Because that $2.50 doesn't go to one place, it gets split. And who gets the biggest slice is the part almost nobody knows. Most of it, by far the biggest chunk, is something called interchange, the swipe fee. And that money does not go to Visa. It does not go to Mastercard. It goes to your bank, the bank that issued your card. That's who's really taking the largest cut every time you tap. A smaller piece goes to the store's payment processor, the Stripes and Squares of the world. And Visa and Mastercard? They take the thinnest slice of all. A tiny network fee? A fraction of a percent. Wait, then how are they the giants here? If the bank takes the big cut, why are Visa and Mastercard the ones worth $500 billion? And that's the whole secret. They don't win on the size of the cut. They win on the number of cuts. A fraction of a percent feels like nothing until you multiply it by $10.5 trillion, by 234 billion transactions, by every coffee and every plane ticket and every online order on the planet. A sliver times the entire world becomes a money printer. Look at what that actually produces. In its 2024 financial year, Visa pulled in about $35.9 billion in revenue and turned roughly 65 cents of every one of those dollars into operating profit. 65%. For comparison, Apple, one of the most profitable companies ever, runs around 30. And remember what Visa is not doing to earn that. It's not lending money. It's not eating the loss when someone defaults. It's not holding any inventory. It just owns the road and counts the cars. That's the big idea, and it's worth saying plainly. Visa and Mastercard aren't banks. They're toll booths. And a toll booth on the busiest road in the world might be the single best business ever invented, which raises the obvious question. If it's this good, why hasn't anyone built a competing road? Here's the thing about a toll booth. Its real protection isn't the toll. It's that no one can build a road next to it. Visa and Mastercard are protected by something economists love and competitors hate, the network effect. And it's a perfect trap. Think about it from both sides. You carry their cards because every store takes them. And every store takes them because everyone's carrying their cards. Now imagine you're a startup trying to launch a third network. You walk into a store and say, "Please accept my new card." The owner says, "Sure. How many customers have it?" "None yet." "Then why would I?" And you walk to a customer and say, "Try my new card." They ask, "Great. Where can I use it?" Almost nowhere. So nobody moves first, and the wall stays up. That chicken and egg problem has frozen the doorway for 60 years. And here's the part that's almost too clever. Visa and Mastercard don't even do the hard work of getting you a card. Thousands of banks fight and spend billions on ads to hand out the cards and sign up the stores, and every one of those cards just pumps more traffic onto Visa and Mastercard's road. They let everyone else do the heavy lifting, and they sit at the toll booth counting. But almost nobody can fight it is not the same as nobody's angry about it. Plenty of people are furious. Mostly the stores. Because those swipe fees add up to real money. In 2024, U.S. merchants paid a record $187 billion in card fees. On Visa and Mastercard branded credit cards alone, the fees came to about $111 billion. Now careful here, that $111 billion is not Visa and Mastercard's paycheck. Remember where the money actually goes. The biggest piece of it, the interchange, flows to the banks that issued the cards in a typical year. Roughly 2 out of every 3 of those dollars. The networks keep their thin little slice, the banks take the fat one, but all of it lands on the merchant first, and that is who's furious. And now follow that cost one more step to you. Stores don't just eat that $187 billion. They bake it into the price of everything on the shelf. Which leads to the fact that should genuinely annoy you, even if you pay in cash, you're still helping pay for everyone else's credit card. That points rewards trip. That cashback, somebody's funding it, and a little piece of somebody is all of us every time we check out. So the merchants did the only thing they could. They sued for nearly 20 years.
We turn now to the $30 billion deal to settle a decades-old lawsuit against credit card giants Mastercard and Visa. They've agreed to lower so-called swipe fees for merchants, and Stephanie Ramos joins us now. And Stephanie, this could have an impact on what consumers pay.
In 2024, they reached a $30 billion settlement, and a federal judge threw it out, saying it didn't do enough for small businesses. So in late 2025, they came back with a bigger one, worth around $38 billion. Visa and Mastercard would shave the fees a little for 5 years and cap the interchange in that big bank slice we just followed on a standard consumer card at 1.25%, about a quarter below today's levels for 8 years. But here's the tell. A lot of the big merchant groups don't even want it. They're fighting the settlement, holding out for more, and it still needs a judge's signature. Lawmakers have circled too, with bills in Congress trying to pry the doorway open and force real competition onto the network. And yet, after the lawsuits, the settlements, the acts of Congress, the wall is still standing. The toll is still being collected. Right now, as you watch this, the question is why we let it. And the answer is the most interesting idea in this whole story. Here's what Visa and Mastercard really teach us. And it goes way beyond credit cards. We tend to assume the money goes to whoever makes the thing, the flashy product, the famous founder. But the quietest, most durable fortunes in the economy don't belong to the people making the product. They belong to whoever owns the road it has to travel on. Own the road, set the rules, take a sliver from everyone who passes, and you don't have to be loved or even noticed. You just have to be unavoidable. And once you see it, you start spotting toll booths everywhere. The App Store taking its cut of every download, the ports, the railroads, the company that makes the one machine every chip factory needs. Different roads, exact same trick. So the next time you tap your card and hear that little beep, you'll know what it really is. Not a payment, a toll. Paid to the owner of a road you never agreed to use and can't avoid. Because the most powerful business in the world usually isn't the one selling you what you want. It's the one standing quietly between you and the thing you want, collecting, a few cents at a time. If you like pulling apart the hidden money stories behind everyday life, stick around and subscribe. There are a lot more roads to follow.